Well, Rick, I'm really excited to catch up with you here at Mobile World Congress, but there's another auspicious occasion that I would mention, which is Infovista's 30th anniversary.
It is our 30-year birthday. Yep.
Congratulations on that, and maybe let's set the scene a little bit with some reflection on how the company's evolved in the past 3 decades, and maybe a little preview of what's next.
Yeah, I think, historically, Infovista was actually founded when networks started to become very complex, and its whole premise was kind of clarity within that complexity. And over time, the company has just evolved as technology and communications have evolved, from MPLS networks to mobile networks, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, the big migration to the cloud, and now, of course, here at the show, everybody's talking about AI. So it's been a journey for us, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, a long story with a lot of changes throughout it, but maybe give us a little bit more on what's next. I guess as I kind of look at the news out of the show from Infovista,
yep.
It's a renewed focus, it's a renewed energy.
It is a renewed focus. In January, we announced kind of the core of our AI powerhouse called Vista AI. It's the engine that's now powering all of the tools that we have on our platform. And today we announced a release of what we call Vista One, which is our comprehensive platform that really runs across 4 domains. The domain of planning networks, testing them after they're built, managing them and observing them from a day-to-day basis, and really looking at it both from the network intelligence side and the customer experience side. So that's Vista One, and our whole future is really going to be based on what we do with that platform going forward.
Could you tell us a little bit more about Vista AI, the agentic framework, and how it complements Vista One?
Yeah, so Vista AI, like I said, is kind of the core of Vista One. So all of the tools, all of the solutions that we have on the Vista One platform are powered by Vista AI. Vista AI is sort of an amalgamation of 30 years of history in the industry, putting our know-how into the contextual domains that people want to get information out of, and doing it in unique ways.
And you said something really interesting that I want to circle back to, and that's this idea of combining network experience intelligence and customer experience intelligence. I think it's something that makes perfect sense, and it's something the industry has broadly talked about for a long time, but it's hard to do. It's hard to take the KPIs that network engineers consider important,
right,
and then correlate them with how a user actually experiences that network. So just dig in for us.
Well, I think the industry has long thought about the world in 2 different spaces, as you just described. Sort of network experience being, is it working? What does it cost me? How do I optimize it? It's really a efficiency game. How do I do more with less? How do I optimize my capital? But of course, if that network isn't working, your customer experience is poor. And so we've had a long-standing business, 30 years, in managing, for example, contact centers, and really understanding how a customer's experience in that contact center turns into meaningful output or not for an enterprise that's using it. And service providers face the same challenge in their mobile networks. When the network isn't doing what you expect, your customer experience isn't what you want it to be. But as I said, historically, we've always looked at that in silos, and we've always looked at customer experience and network performance from 2 different views. We have a strong belief that they're one and the same. You can't deliver a great experience without really understanding your network. You can't really understand your network unless you really understand what your customers are trying to do with it. And bringing those worlds together is a key part of where we're focused today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there've been a ton of announcements at the show already around agentic AI and AI platforms and systems. I think this really is a fairly unique differentiator, though. So I'm curious if you could give us a little bit more commentary on how you kind of scan your competitive landscape and arrive at this product set.
Yeah, competitive landscape, as everybody here at the show knows, it's big and it's complicated. And I think it's derived from the same problems that we're trying to solve in the network context today, in that everybody focuses on a silo. You're either a planning tool or an assurance tool or a testing tool, an observability tool. So we tend to look less at the competitive landscape and more at what our customers are trying to get out of their networks. Some are very focused on optimization. Like the advent of 5G put a ton of cost and complexity into the environment, and we have customers that they need to take that cost and complexity out so they can focus on their end customers. We have others that are figuring out, how do I monetize my mobile networks differently? And with our CX capabilities, we're kind of helping them focus there. So the competitive landscape has been and will always be pretty messy in this world. I mean, it'll take you a day to walk around the show, and it's big. We understand our competitors, but we think we're a little bit unique in that we go across those, what we call 4 domains, from customer experience to planning to testing to assurance. And our customers are going to drive us, more than our competitors drive us today.
Yeah, to that point, I got to spend a little time on your stand here. Are there any of the demos that you have on display or any customer success stories that you'd like to call out?
Yeah, there's a couple great demos here, particularly in how we're using testing data in combination with our assurance data, let me just call it that for a minute, to give customers insights into what's happening at a moment in time versus what happens in real time. We have another great example of how we're blending with our agentic framework, a space that we don't really operate in, the sort of old BSS space, how we take information from that and overlay it with network performance data to really help customers understand. For example, where are my top paying mobile customers? What is their experience wherever they are geographically, and how is that impacting their buying behavior? So there's a couple of really great demos like that we think are relevant in today's world, and they try to break down all the hype around AI. We're trying to be very specific about the data that we can deliver within that framework that's pragmatic and meaningful, and not AI is going to solve everything for everybody, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I think that's really pragmatic to not treat AI as some sort of panacea for all your business problems. But you mentioned BSS. There's so much innovation that can happen in that space.
That's right.
If you can just get the data right while supporting your legacy systems, not breaking anything, right, and really just getting to that value.
Yeah, the problem is, historically, there have been attempts to try to integrate or combine that customer view with a network view, and they're fundamentally different. In the way they're structured, they're fundamentally different in the things you can derive from that data. Now, this AI world is allowing us some new capabilities to not force the integration, but to leverage what's there to make faster decisions and to drive clarity. We think we're pretty unique in that space, and we're going to continue to push down at it.
I think that's a great focal point for you, back to your thesis statement of deriving simplicity from complexity. BSS, great place to go with that.
It is, and Infovista, our 30 years, like I said, the company started when IP networks really took hold. They were massively complex and difficult to understand. And we've been good at that for a long time, and we're going to continue to be good at that. So you're not going to see us going off into the weeds, so to speak, with AI capabilities that solve every problem a carrier might have. We're pretty focused on the data we can bring, the clarity we can bring with that data, and letting our customers create the unique use cases that make that data useful. That's driving our innovation today.
Well, I'm not going to ask you what to expect from the next 30 years, but I might ask you, now that you have Vista AI and Vista One out in market, what are sort of expectations for next 2 to 3 years?
I think you're going to continue to see these use cases grow. We're in place in 3 or 4 very large customers around the world who are really excited about what they're seeing in our capabilities, and they're driving the advancements inside of our AI framework, but inside of the tool sets that we plug into that AI framework to make it work. I think the second thing you're going to see is our view is this: if this AI phenomenon is going to be successful, and we think it is, it's going to force this industry to really think about an ecosystem in ways they haven't. Ecosystems up until this point have been procurement driven. Who has what capability, what kind of price can I drive out of it? Now you're going to see companies working together that haven't really had to work together. In fact, we're kind of competitive in the past. We announced several months ago a partnership with CSG as an example. Now, traditionally, we would have never worked with a company like that. We're the network guys, they're the BSS guys, people. So I think you're going to see a lot of that from us in the next 12 months, if not sooner.
Excellent. Well, Rick, I really appreciate you taking the time to share with me and our audience everything that Infovista is covering here at Mobile World Congress, and here's to the next 30.
That's right. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.